said those for once. I'll add one, two. That's not this.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jeffrey Lynn Clark. Council appearance, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon. Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigelson on behalf of Mr. Clark this afternoon.
Are you Jeffrey Lynn Clark?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Clark, today's the day that we're proceeding on an arraignment. I have a felony complaint here. The allegations are that on or about December 14th, 2024 at the area at or near Larch and East Lansing, which is in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you allegedly committed the act in count 1 of controlled substance possession of methamphetamine or ecstasy. It alleges that you did knowingly or intentionally possess methamphetamine contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 333.74032BI. That's a felony. The maximum penalty is 10 years in prison and or $15,000. There's an habitual offender fourth offense notice. It says take notice that the defendant was previously convicted of 3 or more felonies or attempts to commit felonies, and that on or about July 27, 2015, he was convicted of the offense of attempt burglars, tools possession in violation of Michigan Compiled Law 750.116 in the 29th Circuit Court for Clinton County, state of Michigan, and that on or about February 7, 2018, he was convicted of the offense of organized retail crime in violation of Michigan Compiled Law 752.1084 in the 56th Circuit Court for Eaton County, state of Michigan, and that on or about February 7, 2018, he was convicted of the offense of escape while awaiting trial for felony in violation of Michigan Compiled Law 750.1972 in the 56th Circuit Court for Eaton County, state of Michigan, and therefore the defendant is subject to the penalties provided by Michigan Compiled Law 769.12 that enhances the penalty in count 1 to life because the primary offense has a penalty of 5 years or more. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty attached, as well as the habitual offender fourth offense notice?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you have the right to be represented by counsel. Mr. Feigelson is here today from the Office of the Public Defender to represent you solely for the purpose of your arraignment. You do have the right to have an attorney with you at each court appearance and the right to be represented by an attorney if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you cannot afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to have the Public Defender's Office represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to have a preliminary examination in this matter within 21 days of today's date. You have the right to that timeline unless you waive the 21 days or the court finds good cause to go beyond the 21 days. At the time of your examination, you have the right to require the prosecution put forth evidence to establish that they have sufficient probable cause that the crime was committed and probable cause to charge you with that crime. If this matter proceeds beyond then, you have the right to a trial and you have the right to jury trial. You enjoy the presumption of innocence, so that means you're innocent until proven guilty, and you have the right to require the prosecution prove your guilt at trial by proving each element of the charge being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to remain silent at trial and not have silence being used against you, or you can waive silence and testify at your trial if you like. You have the right to see, hear, or question any of the witnesses the prosecutor calls to testify against you. You can subpoena witnesses to testify on your behalf. You understand any or all of those rights, or do you have any questions about those rights?
Yeah.
You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before me, Judge Kristen Simmons, December 26th at 8:30 in the morning. You have a preliminary examination before me on January 2nd, 2025 at 8:30 in the morning. You should have received a notice to appear for those dates and times. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Feigelson, is he requesting the public defender's office to represent him?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Are you currently employed, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where?
I work for a woman named Jamine, the woman I live with, she owns a lot of rental properties. And I take care
What
of
do you do?
them.
You are a
Well,
property manager, or you work in some other
I-
capacity?
I do work at the labor capacity.
You work where?
I do all the work for her, whatever she needs fixed. Repairs,
Okay, so repairs like handiwork?
yes. I live on 919 Shiawassee, a couple blocks away.
Okay, what's your home address?
919 East Shiawassee.
You have a phone number?
517, yes, Your Honor, 517 202 1005.
1005?
Yep, yes, Your Honor.
Okay, are you currently on probation or on parole?
No,
Also, you can address bond.
Yes, Your Honor. Clerk did indicate that he is employed, Your Honor. He is from the Lansing area. I do believe he is presently on probation out in the 55th District Court. I would still ask for a PR bond or a low cash surety bond as possible today.
I just asked him, was he on probation or parole? He said no.
I have a fine to pay. It's not probation, it's I'm on a scheduled payment plan.
Okay, well, I do see we're in 55th District Court. You did have a 6-month term of probation. Were you discharged from that probation?
Yes, yes, Your Honor. I have to pay, I'm on a payment plan that starts this month.
When were you discharged?
That was a couple of years ago, a year ago.
You were discharged from probation a couple of years ago?
I think so, yeah. I just
Okay.
went and made the payment plan with them, and I start paying it this month at the end of the month.
Okay, have you ever missed court in the past?
No, I haven't, but they sent me to a doctor one time where I didn't return on time. I didn't return until the next day, and they charged me with escape. That was the Eaton County one. That was the Eaton County charge that I apologize, but I was still charged. But I'll return. I'm too old. I have too many heart problems. Run away. I'm a cardiac patient at Sparrow. And I'd like to get up there now if I could.
A bond is set at 1,000 personal recognizance. While out on bond, you have the following conditions. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs unless you have a valid prescription. I am going to order that you participate in regular urinalysis testing. Let's see. We're going to have it at 1 time per week at this time. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release. And that information can be provided to you at the jail before you leave, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're not to possess a firearm, ammunition, or weapon of any kind. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. You need to report to all of your future court dates. Your probable cause conference before me, you can appear in person, or if you have a phone with a video, you can appear via Zoom. And then your preliminary examination, you must appear in person, okay, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions for the court?
Oh, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're all set, sir. On the record of the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Jamine Davis. Counsel appearance.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigels on behalf of Mr. Davis this afternoon.
You're Jamine Davis, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Today's the date that we're proceeding with arraignment. I do have a felony complaint here. The allegations are that on or about December 14, 2024 at 2408 South Cedar Street, Lansing, Michigan, that you did allegedly commit the act in count 1 of assault with a dangerous weapon, also called a felonious assault. It alleges that you did make an assault upon a Anthony Van Vieve with a dangerous weapon, that being a pistol, but without intending to commit the crime of murder or to inflict great bodily harm less than the crime of murder. And that this is contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.82. This is a felony with the maximum penalty being 4 years in prison and or $2,000 in fines. Your DNA is to be taken upon arrest, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. You understand the charge there and the maximum penalty, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to counsel. Mr. Feigelson's is representing you today for your arraignment only. You have the right to have an attorney represent you at all of your court appearances, and you have the right to be represented by an attorney if questioned by law enforcement. If you can't afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to be screened by the public defender's office for representation by them. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty, plead not guilty, or stand mute. And if you stand mute, the matter will continue all the way to a jury trial. You do have the right in this matter to preliminary examination because you're being charged with the felony. You have the right to exam within 21 days of today's date, unless you waive that 21-day timeline or the court finds good cause to go beyond 21 days. You have the right at the time of your preliminary examination to require the prosecution put forth evidence to establish that they have sufficient probable cause that a felony was committed and probable cause sufficient to charge you with the felony. You have the right to proceed to trial in this matter, and you have the right to jury trial. At the time of trial, you have the right to the presumption of innocence. So that means you are innocent until proven guilty, and you have the right to require that the prosecutor prove each element of the charge being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to be silent at your trial and not have that silence be used to prove or imply that you're guilty. You can waive your silence and testify at your trial if you'd like. And you have the right to see, hear, or question in court any of the witnesses that are called to testify against you. Do you have any questions about those rights?
No, Your Honor.
You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before me, Judge Kristen Simmons. It's going to be on December 26th, 9 o'clock in the morning. You have a preliminary examination before me that's currently scheduled in person at the court on January 2nd, 2025 at 9 a.m. Did you get a notice to appear for those dates?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Is he requesting court appointed counsel?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. Are you currently on probation or a parole?
No. Your Honor.
Were you recently discharged from probation?
Yes.
Okay, when were you discharged?
A couple months ago, I got an early discharge from Nathaniel
Oh.
Ribs and some
Okay, okay.
a high probation.
Are you employed?
Yes, I am.
Where?
Laser Shit. It's a third-party Amazon delivery company.
It's called Laser Ship?
Yes. Or On Track. It's two different. Like it's you can call it On Track Laser Shit.
Oh. What's your home address?
1126 Pierce Road, Lansing, Michigan, 48910.
And your phone number?
517-291-5813.
Counsel, you can address bond.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Davis is from Lansing, Your Honor. He born and raised here, did go to Sexton, was on probation, Your Honor. He did finish that. Other than that, he has no other prior criminal history. I'd ask for a PR bond this morning, Your Honor, or this afternoon, excuse me.
Bond will be set in the amount of 500 personal recognizance. There will be a no contact order in place for the protection of the alleged victim, Anthony Van Vee. You're not to appear or be at the address of 2408 South Cedar Street or within 1,500 feet of that address. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're not to have contact directly or indirectly with the alleged victim in this matter, and not to be within 1,500 feet of wherever he lives, works, or goes to school. Also, while out on bond, you're not to use, purchase, or possess drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. You're not to possess a firearm, a weapon, or ammunition of any kind. You are not allowed to travel outside the state unless you get approval from the court. You must report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release. Do you have any questions about your bond conditions?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're all set, sir. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Deleno McLean. Counsel appearance.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigelson, on behalf of Mr. Klain this afternoon.
Are you Deleno McLean?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay, today's the date that we're proceeding on an arraignment. I do have a felony complaint here that alleges that on or about December 15th, 2024, at the area of 201 East Cesar Chavez, which is in the city of Atlantic, Ingham County, state of Michigan, that you allegedly committed the act in count 1 of police officer assaulting, resisting, obstructing. The allegations are that you did assault, batter, wound, resist, obstruct, oppose, or endanger a Christopher Mosby and or Mark Fox, officers of the Lansing Police Department, that you knew or had reason to know was performing their duties under MCL 750.81 D1. Count 1 is a felony with the maximum penalty being 2 years and or $2,000 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under MCL 750.506A if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. Sir, do you understand the charge there and the maximum penalty?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. You have the right to be represented by an attorney in this matter at each court appearance, and if you're questioned by law enforcement. Mr. Feigelson is going to represent you today to be arraigned, but if you can't afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to have the public defender's office represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to have a preliminary examination in this matter within 21 days of today's date, unless you waive that timeline or the court finds good cause to go beyond the 21 days. At the time of your exam, you can require the prosecutor put forth evidence to establish that they have sufficient probable cause that a felony was committed, and then probable cause sufficient to charge you with the felony. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say, anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty, plead not guilty, or stand mute. And if you stand mute, the matter will continue all the way through to jury trial. You have the right to presumption of innocence. You're innocent until the prosecution can prove your guilt, and they have to prove each element of the charge being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to see, hear, or question in court any of the witnesses that they call to testify against you. You can call your own witnesses to testify on your behalf, or you can waive your right to silence and testify at your trial if you'd like. Do you have any questions about those rights?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is he requesting court-appointed counsel?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
I'm entering a plea of not guilty on your behalf. You're currently scheduled for a probable cause conference before Judge Stacia Buchanan on December 27th, 9 o'clock in the morning. You can appear via Zoom or in person for your probable cause conference. You have a preliminary examination before Judge Buchanan in person at the court, January 2nd at 9:30 in the morning. Did you get your notice to appear for that date?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you currently on probation or on parole?
No,
Are you employed?
no.
What's your home address?
122 East Northrop Street.
What's your phone number?
517-204-5959.
Do you go to school at all?
No,
So what do you do all day?
well, I work under a family member, detailing. I detail cars and stuff.
I asked you, do you work? You told me no.
All right. Yeah, I'm not like employed, like I don't get checks or nothing, but I still work. Like,
Okay, so you're doing some under the table car detailing?
yes.
You can address bond counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. McLean has a prior juvenile history, does have a CCW when he was as a juvenile, Your Honor. No other history. Did appear for court, is from Lansing, did go to Everett, didn't finish. I'd still ask for a PR bond this morning, or this afternoon. I do believe that's appropriate here, given the nature of the allegation and his prior criminal history.
I see his prior criminal history, one juvenile, but does note dismissed. So something may or may not have been diverted there, not sure. A bond will be set in the matter at 1,000 personal recognizance. You do have the following conditions. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to possess a firearm, a weapon, or ammunition. You're not to use, purchase, or possess drugs or alcohol without a valid prescription. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release from custody, and you can get that information from the jail before you leave. Okay, I am gonna impose a curfew in this particular case. You're not to be outside between the hours of 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. unless you have a valid reason, meaning doctor's appointment, a school, employment. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then you need to report to your future court dates. Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
You're all set. Thank you. The record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Aaron Ray Miller. Counsel appearance.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigelson on behalf of Miss Miller this afternoon.
Your Honor, we have her. We have 4 more meals. We were holding off grabbing her until we were close with finishing up the male half of the arraignments here.
You said you have her, but what happened?
We have her here, Your Honor. We have multiple male subjects. We were just holding off on grabbing Ms. Miller until we got through the male half of the arraignments here.
Sounds good. Thank you. On the record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Kevin Mlan. Counsel appearance.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigelson on behalf of Kevin Bland this afternoon.
Are you Kevin Mlan?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor, and it's pronounced Kevin.
Kevin, okay, thank you. Mr. Bland, today's the date that was set for an arraignment, and I have a felony complaint alleging that on or about December 15th, 2024 at 201 East Cesar Chavez, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you allegedly committed the act in count 1 of weapons carrying concealed. The allegations are that you did carry a dangerous weapon, that being a pistol, concealed on or about your person or concealed otherwise in a vehicle operated or occupied by said defendant, that vehicle being a Chrysler 300, and that this was contrary to MCL 750.227. That's a felony. The maximum penalty is 5 years in prison and or $2,500 in fines and a mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device under the law. Do you understand the charge there, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand the maximum penalty attached to the charge?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to be represented by an attorney. Mr. Feigelson is going to represent you today for the purpose of your arraignment. You'd have a right to have an attorney represent you at all of your court appearances, and if you're questioned by law enforcement, and if you can't afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to have the public defender's office screen you to represent you at no expense to you. Do you understand your right to counsel?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say and anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty, plead not guilty, or stand mute. And if you stand mute, the matter will continue all the way to jury trial. You have the right to have a preliminary examination in this matter because you're being charged with a felony. And you have the right to that exam within 21 days of today's date, unless you waive the 21-day timeline or the court finds good cause to go beyond 21 days. You have the right at the time of your exam to require that the prosecutor establish that they have sufficient probable cause that a crime was committed and sufficient probable cause to charge you with that crime being a felony. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
If this matter proceeds to trial, you have the right to jury trial, and again, the right to the presumption of innocence. You're innocent until they can prove you guilty by proving each element of the charge being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to question in court any of the accusers or witnesses called to testify against you. You can subpoena witnesses on your behalf to testify, or you can waive your silence and testify at your trial if you'd like. Do you understand those rights, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is he requesting public defender's office to represent him?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
The court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. You're currently scheduled for probable cause conference before Judge Tony Flores, December 27th, 8:30 in the morning. You have a preliminary examination before Judge Flores, January 3rd, 9 o'clock in the morning. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear before Judge Flores for those dates and times?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you currently on probation or on parole?
No, Your Honor.
Are you employed?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
Where?
Amazon Fulfillment Center, LAN 2.
What's your home address, sir?
1312 West Michigan Avenue.
And your phone number?
517-605-8429.
I don't see any prior criminal history. Counsel, you can address bond.
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Bland has no prior criminal history, is an East Lansing graduate, is employed. I believe a PR bond is appropriate this afternoon. There is a co-defendant in this case, Your Honor. I just want to make the court aware of that. I believe our office will probably represent one and we'll send the other probably to conflict counsel.
Correct. Mr. McLean being the co-defendant.
I believe so. Actually, I think it's another individual. We haven't arraigned the other individual yet. That's the co-defendant.
My co-defendant is Deleno McClain.
Deleno McLean is the co-defendant.
I'm sorry, Judge.
So the bond is 1,000 personal recognizance. While out on bond, you have the following conditions. You're not to possess a firearm or weapon of any kind. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription. And you need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release from custody. Do you have any questions at this time about your bond conditions?
No, ma'am, Your Honor.
Additional matters for the record, counsel?
None, Your Honor.
You're all set, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
The record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Curtis Chester. Appearance for the record, counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigl on behalf of Curtis Chester today.
You're Curtis Chester. Are you Curtis Chester?
Your Honor.
I couldn't hear your response.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. I have a felony complaint here that alleges that on or about December 15th, 2024 at South Washington and East Kalamazoo, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you allegedly committed the act of controlled substance possession of cocaine, heroin, or other narcotic less than 25 grams. The allegations are that you did knowingly or intentionally possess less than 25 grams of a mixture containing the controlled substance cocaine, and that was contrary to Michigan compiled law 333.740328V. That's a felony. The maximum penalty is 4 years in prison and or $25,000 in fines. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to counsel. Mr. Feigelson will represent you today to be arraigned. You have the right to have an attorney with you at all of your court appearances and if you're questioned by law enforcement. If you can't afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to have the public defender's office appointed at the expense of the public. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to preliminary examination because you are being charged with a felony. You have the right to have that exam within 21 days of today's date, unless the court finds good cause to go beyond that 21 days, or you waive the 21-day timeline. At the time of the exam, you have the right to require that the prosecution put forth sufficient evidence to establish probable cause that a crime was committed and probable cause sufficient to charge you with the crime. You have the right to have you have to have that preliminary examination at this time on or by January 3rd, 2025 at 8 a.m. unless, again, you raise that 21-day timeline or the court adjusts it for good cause. And that's going to be before Judge Cynthia Ward. You should have received a notice to appear for that. Did you get your notice, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you have a probable cause conference before Judge Cynthia Ward, December 26th at 8:30, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have the right to trial and the right to jury trial in this matter, and you have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You can remain silent at your trial and not have that silence be used against you, or you can waive your silence and testify if you'd like. You have the right to see, hear, or question any other witnesses called to testify against you at any trial, and you have the right to have witnesses subpoenaed to testify on your behalf. Do you have any questions about those rights?
No, Your Honor.
Is he requesting the public defender's office to represent him?
Yes, he is, Your Honor.
A plea of not guilty will be entered on your behalf. Are you employed, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where?
I'm actually supposed to be there right now at Myers Warehouse.
What's your home address?
820 West Ottawa Street, apartment 204.
And your phone number?
517-962-6077.
Are you currently on probation?
No, Your Honor.
Are you on parole?
No.
How many times have you missed court in the past?
I've never missed court.
You can address bond counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. As Mr. Chester indicated, Judge, he is employed, works at Meyer Warehouse. I did graduate from Sexton, did go to Lansing Community College. You know, he does have a prior impaired driving offense, limited other criminal history. I know he was charged once and that case got dismissed. I'd ask for a PR bond this afternoon.
Okay, I see more than that as a conviction, and I see at least one other time where he was charged with a similar controlled substance possession of cocaine, but that was ultimately dismissed. I think bond at 1,000 personal recognizance is appropriate, so I will grant that request. You have the following conditions: you're not to use, purchase, or possess alcohol or drugs without a valid prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to possess a firearm or a weapon of any kind or ammunition. You're not to engage in any assaultive or threatening behavior. I'm going to order that you engage in your analysis testing 1 time per week. You need to report to pretrial services within 48 hours. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any questions about your bond conditions or your next court dates?
No, Your Honor.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You're all set, sir. Record in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Takota Adair. Have your appearance, counsel.
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigelson. On behalf of Mr. Adair this afternoon, Your Honor, he is going to be applying to work with our office.
He is requesting court-appointed counsel. I'll note that in the court will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. And you're Mr. Takota Adair.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a felony complaint here that alleges that on or about December 14th at the area of 1214 North Chestnut Street, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan, that you did allegedly in count 1 commit the act of weapons carrying concealed, that you allegedly carried a dangerous weapon, that being a pistol, whether concealed or otherwise in a vehicle operated or occupied by said defendant, that vehicle being a Chevrolet Silverado, that this was contrary to MTL 750.227. That's a felony. The maximum penalty is 5 years and or $2,500 in fines, and there's a mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device required under the law. Do you understand the charge and the maximum penalty, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And the court's noted that you're requesting court-appointed counsel with the public defender's office, and they will enter a plea of not guilty on your behalf. I am also going to just remind you that you do have the right to be represented by an attorney at all of your court dates and represented by counsel if questioned by law enforcement. You have the right in this matter to have a preliminary examination within 21 days of the date that you're arraigned, unless you waive that 21 days or the court goes beyond the 21 days for good cause. You're currently scheduled to have a probable cause conference before Judge Cynthia Ward. That's going to be December 26, 2024 at 8:30 in the morning. You can appear via Zoom or in person. You have a preliminary examination before Judge Ward in person at the court. That's going to be January 3rd, 2025 at 8 a.m. Did you get a copy of your notice to appear for that date, sir, and Zoom instructions? Did you respond? Because I didn't hear anything.
Oh, yes. Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. No problem. You have the following rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say, anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty, plead not guilty, or stand mute. You have the right to proceed to trial. And you have the right to jury trial. At the time of trial, you enjoy the presumption of innocence. So that means you're innocent until the prosecution can prove that you're guilty by proving each element of the charge being brought against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to see, hear, or question any witness that's called to testify against you at your trial. You have the right to maintain silence at trial and not have that silence be used against you. Or you can waive silence and testify at your trial if you like. And you also have the right to have witnesses subpoenaed to your trial to testify on your behalf. You have questions about those rights, sir?
No, ma'am.
Okay, let's see. I have a copy of his criminal history. I don't see any prior criminal history. You don't have any other matters pending in the courts, do you, sir?
No, ma'am.
Bond is set at 1,000 personal recognizance. You must appear for all of your future court dates. You're not to possess a firearm, ammunition, or weapon of any kind. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to use drugs or alcohol unless you have a valid prescription, and you must report to pretrial services within 48 hours of your release from custody. Do you have any questions about your bond conditions?
Yes, ma'am.
What's your
Is there any way I
question?
can get PR bond today?
That's what I just said, that you had a 1,000 personal recognizance bond.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. What's your home address?
724 North Walnut, apartment 4.
Are you employed?
No, ma'am. I currently watch my son.
What's your phone number?
517-326-9557.
Do you have any other questions for the court, sir?
No, ma'am.
Any additional matters for the record, counsel?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you. You're all set, sir.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Oh. We have Erin Miller here, when you are ready.
Oh, is she in the room yet?
Yes, she is, Your Honor.
Oh, very good. That's fine. I can do it right now. On the record, in the matter of the people of the state of Michigan versus Aaron Ray Miller, counsel appearance.
Yes, Your Honor, good afternoon. Assistant Public Defender Stephen Feigelson on behalf of Miss Miller this afternoon.
Ms. Miller, can you step up a little closer, please? Thank you. Okay, you're Aaron Ray Miller?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have a misdemeanor complaint here that alleges that on or about December 15th, 2024, at the area of 2900 Collins Road in Lansing, Michigan, also the location of the McLaren Health Center, that you did allegedly commit an assault or assault and battery, and that you did make an assault or assault and battery upon Angela Christie, contrary to Michigan Compiled Law 750.81. Count 1 is a misdemeanor, and the maximum penalty is 93 days in jail and or $500 in fines, and a consecutive sentence may be imposed under the law if the assault was committed in a place of confinement. You understand that charge and the maximum penalty to the charge?
Yes, I do.
You have the right to counsel. You have the right to be represented at all of your court appearances, and you have the right to be represented if questioned by law enforcement. If you can't afford to hire an attorney, you can make a request to have the public defender's office represent you at the expense of the public. Do you understand that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You have the right to remain silent. Anything that you say, anything you put in writing can be used against you. You have the right to plead guilty, plead not guilty, or stand mute. And if you stand mute, the matter will continue all the way to jury trial. And you do have the right to have jury trial in this matter, and you have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You have the right to remain silent at your trial, not have silence be used against you, or you can waive your silence at trial and testify if you'd like. You have the right to see, hear, or question any of the witnesses that the prosecution intends to call to testify you at your trial, and you have the right to subpoena witnesses to testify on your behalf. Do you have any questions about those rights?
I don't.
What's your home address?
420 Baker Street,
And your phone number?
517-719-2061.
Are you employed?
No, I'm a student at LCC.
We don't have a current next court date for you. You'll get that in the mail. It'll be set for a pre-trial, okay?
Okay.
Are you on probation at this time?
I am.
56th Circuit Court?
The 30th District Court
Yeah.
of,
30th Circuit Court?
I believe so.
You're not
Lansing.
sure which court you're before for
Well,
probation?
I mean, I had it transferred to Lansing from Charlotte. So
Okay, I see.
I'm not,
That makes sense. Are you in a specialty court at all?
no,
Okay, I see that you were sentenced to 24 months probation
yeah,
through the 56th Circuit Court, and you're saying that was transferred to the 30th Circuit Court?
oh, yes, correct.
Okay. Do you have any other court dates pending or any other court matters pending at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Address bond counsel.
Yes, Your Honor, Miss Miller is from currently an LCC student, Your Honor. She is from Coldwater, is presently in school, Your Honor, does live with her boyfriend here in the Lansing area. Obviously is on felony probation or misdemeanor probation. Or felony, excuse me, I'd ask for a PR bond this afternoon, Your Honor.
Okay. The bond is set in the amount of 500 personal recognizance. While out on bond, you're not to use, purchase, or possess drugs or alcohol without a prescription. You're not to travel outside the state without prior approval of the court. You're not to possess a firearm or any other dangerous weapon. There's a no contact order for the protection of an Angela Christie. You're not to have contact directly or indirectly with Angela Christie, nor are you to be within 1,500 feet of wherever she lives, works, or goes to school. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
And then you need to report to all of your future court dates. Again, your next court date will be sent to you via mail. If you don't receive that by the end of the week, it's your responsibility to contact the court and find out what happened to your mail. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. Any additional matters for the record?
No, Your Honor.
You're all set, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's all I have.
All right, thanks, Judge. Have a good day. We'll see you next week.
Have a
Thank you,
good
Your
one.
Honor.
Thank you.